Hey guys, what's up? It's Deprimido. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here in FL Studio and I'm going to be breaking down Weiland type beats. If you haven't heard of Weiland, he's a pretty small rapper, although he's definitely gaining some traction recently. He's definitely got some pretty cool music though, so let's just get into the beat. So with these beats, they're almost always going to be at 160 BPM, sometimes they're at like 165. He's also got a couple faster songs up at like 190, which is really fast, but generally they're about 160 BPM. So getting into the melody, these melodies are going to be pretty ambient. It doesn't necessarily matter so much what instrument you choose, although it is usually going to be a synth. It's not really going to be a realistic instrument, although he does have a couple songs with pianos and stuff like that. The most common instruments though are going to be pads or synth keys or stuff like that. I decided to go with kind of a harsh sounding pad, and I made this pattern, which sounds like this. You don't want these melodies to be super emotional or anything. They're actually mostly just kind of there to take up space so that the drums can really present themselves, because that's kind of the main part of these beats. For my counter melody, I went with expand and I used a poly synth. Then I made this pattern and then I just threw halftime on it. Altogether it sounds like this. For my next counter melody, this isn't something that's in a ton of his songs, but it's in a couple. I decided to go with arcade and use the vocode line to get kind of a harsh vocal type of sound. I just laid out this simple pattern right here, which sounds like this. And that's all I'm going to add to the melody. The melodies aren't really the most important part of these beats. It's mostly focused on the drums. So just make sure that you keep your melodies nice and simple so that you can add a little bit more to the drums. So getting into the drums, this is where it's going to get a little bit more crazy. Starting off with the hi-hat pattern here, you can see it's fairly complicated. We've got a pretty good amount of rolls as well as a few doubles and stuff like that. You might also have a couple gaps, but that's a lot less common in these beats than rolls and doubles are. This is what the pattern sounds like. So here I'll just zoom in a little bit more so you can kind of see what's going on a bit better. If you guys want to know my thought process for when I'm making my drum patterns, I'll leave the video that I did based on drum patterns up in the card above. Next, we're just going to add in a clap or a snare. Claps are going to be a little bit more common, but snares are still pretty common in these beats as well. This is what I decided to go with. For the 808s, we're usually going to be using kind of Z-type 808s. They're going to be fairly short. Some of them are a little bit longer, but I'd say like short to medium. And they're going to be relatively clean, but definitely a little bit of distortion, but just nothing crazy, like no Ronny J-type 808s. For me, I'm going to go with this One Punch Man 808, which you can get using the link in the description to my Academy drum kit. For the 808 pattern, it's going to be pretty simple. You're just going to want to make sure that you kind of change things up in the second half so that it doesn't get repetitive, but it's just going to be a pretty simple 808 pattern, nothing too crazy. This is what mine sounds like. Next, I just added this snare pattern. If you're going to do a snare pattern, make sure you're using a nice light sound. You don't want to use anything that's going to be super harsh or loud or deep. This is what it sounds like. Then something that's pretty common in these beats is just to use an open hat and kind of accent the 808 pattern. Most of the time the hi-hat is also going to be a pretty light, out of the way sound, kind of like this one. This is what the pattern sounds like. And this is all I'm going to add to the beat, although as you can see, there's not a whole lot of elements, so something that might help you with the arrangement is to just take some of the elements and make a simpler version of them. So for the hi-hat pattern, I might take out some of or all of the rolls maybe. I might also simplify the 808 pattern a little bit. So now that I've made a simpler version of the hi-hat pattern and the 808 pattern, I'm just going to mix it. If you guys want to check out my mixing tutorial, I'll leave it up in the card in the corner. So this mix is really simple. There's no effects other than the halftime that I mentioned earlier on that lead melody, but other than that, I just leveled it. There's really nothing complicated going on in this mix. The only thing I should mention is that in a lot of these beats, the main drums, especially the 808, are going to be louder than they would in most other beats, so just kind of keep that in mind. So next I'm going to arrange it. There's not really anything special about these arrangements, so I'm not going to go into that, but I'll play the beat at the end of the video. But first, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Also make sure to go check me out on Instagram. When I reach 2,000 followers, I'm dropping a free MIDI kit that you can all pick up. up. Also make sure to subscribe here on YouTube. We're getting super close to 300 subscribers, and when we get there I'm dropping a free loop kit, so make sure to subscribe so that we can get there and you can get the kit. But other than that, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.
How did Deprimido make this slap so hard?